Robert Schwertner from Crypto Robbie. On the session, from FinTech to BlockTech, how blockchain will influence the world of finance and insurance. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm very glad to be here in Bratislava to talk about insurance and also FinTech. So I will not only focus on insurance, but to show you what other industries and sectors face with blockchain technology. That's what I will briefly talk about. And then you can see how this could affect the insurance industry. But I'm very confident that we as a customer will not in future have to pay for profits for insurance companies. So we will probably have a new model. We just heard a very nice presentation on how profitable insurance companies shall be in the future. I'm very confident that we will not see companies so much managing insurances, but little programs. I will later give you an example how that could work. So the company model as such is the underlying economic model from the old economy world. But we have a so-called shared prosperity model, which is linked to blockchain technology. And even the CEOs of the largest US-based companies, oh, I'm very sorry. Who is that? It's not me. The largest companies confirmed that we have this shared prosperity model in place in future. So it will not be so much on the share value. So in 20 years, probably insurance companies would look much more different than we have it now. But the question is how it will shift to that new world. Who am I? First, who am I? My name is Robert Schwertner. That's actually not me. But first, who am I? My name is Robert Schwertner. I do consultancy for blockchain startups worldwide. I'm coming from Austria. I have a small consultancy company, but I also do consultancy for very large enterprises with companies above 20 billion euro turnover. So either very small, very young, very active, or very large companies. This is probably the picture. This young guy is Vitalik Buterin, the founder of the second largest blockchain called Ethereum, and he has the vision of a world computer. And how this could affect insurance, I will just try to explain you. When we talk about blockchain, of course, it's always cutting out the middleman. So we have a new peer-to-peer technology. I will not go into details of blockchain. Please have a look. If you're working in FinTech insurance, you should know about blockchain. It will come. Maybe one day it could cost your job, or it could create new jobs where you can find work. I'm very sure smart contracts. Who has heard about smart contracts here in the room? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Interesting. Okay, so I have to explain. A smart contract is neither smart nor a contract. So it's like smart insurance is not very smart. It's just digitalized. A smart contract is a very simple construction. It is in principle, normally you have a contract, you write the contract, and then parties, insured people, companies do what they shall do according to the contract. The idea of Vitalik and others is to have a code doing that for you. So the code you write is the contract, and it executes itself. The code is the contract, and it executes all at the same time. So you have a dramatic shortening of a process. To buy a car, you usually have a contract. I buy a car, a wonderful, I don't know, Skoda, and it costs 10,000 euro. I hand over 10,000 euro, I get the car. In a smart contract, you can, in a digitalized world, assuming that we are more digitalized than we are now, you have a smart contract which says, I receive the car, I confirm the QR code on the car, or with an app, I say, okay, I received the car is fine. Press the button. The code itself has written, when you press the button and confirm with your signature or whatever, automatically the payment is done to the end customer. So you press the button, payment is done. This is a smart contract. This is a so-called construction of, it's a little program, and if then if I receive the car, automatically the payment is done. And in insurance, you have a lot of these smart contracts in place. One could imagine a lot of, I will show you later. So it's a self-executing contract, a self-executing program, and especially for an insurance business, these smart contracts will be the future. And the question is, why do we still a company when we have a little code doing that for us? Of course, somebody has to execute that, somebody has to do that. But Vitalik Buterin, by the way, listen to his, can really recommend the video of him. He's 26 now, invented this with 19. He's probably the new chief Steve Jobs or something like this. And of course, he's not after profit. He wants to have this vision in place, the world computer. So these smart contracts dominate the blockchain technology at the moment. So I talk a lot with companies, startups, blockchain stuff, how to design such smart contracts and where could we put that in place. Of course, not the complicated cases. We have to start with the simple cases where we see a lot. Car industry has been mentioned in the panel. By the way, I like Moto very much. A good start to enter this, and it could be the next step, probably a startup putting this on blockchain could be very disruptive to your model, or you do it yourself. You think about that. However, in Switzerland, the car industry and the insurance industry and the banks have coordinated themselves with ETH Zurich and university to make a so-called car dossier. So they put all the data of cars on blockchain. Blockchain is a very secure database, so it's kind of unhackable. That's what it's thought about. And so if you imagine if the car is registered somewhere in a kind of land registry or a car registry, which is widely acknowledged, and you have also the kilometers registered there. When you just, my car broke down in Switzerland, I was in Davos as a speaker last week. My car broke down, they came, they entered with the computer, they logged, they could see what the car's problem is. If you use that into the car dossier, you have all the data of a car, so you can put more trust in the system. You see how the car is performing. Did I do all the services and so on? If you have this digital data, it could have an effect for insurance, it could have an effect for the price later paid. So you can have a digitalized car ecosystem where you can have such little programs in place, the smart contracts. Car dossier. So you see, insurance company here is not, it's just a side business. It's a very small little program as many other programs in place. So I don't see the big profits here for the insurance business, but they have to maybe find new ways to gain, to create profits. That's my impression. You have a car sharing project in Vienna. It's e-car sharing. It's a mixture. It's a blockchain-based car sharing project. 20 people buy together one car. That's the idea. Roughly 20 people for e-cars. Assuming that the insurance headache is solved, yeah, the key, flexible key that everybody can access with the mobile phone, this car, you have a model for where blockchain really makes sense. It's in between renting a car, owning a car, and renting out a car. So I can log in there. I own this car, 120. I sometimes use that. Others can use that, the others who own this car. And if we 20 don't use it, we can rent it out and make the car repay itself. So it's a new prosperity model, and that's a shared prosperity. So I, as an end consumer, can participate in the profit making of this car. I can also invest. I can be investor. And then now think of an insurance company. You have investors, you have somebody who codes that, and then you have somebody who profits from that, and then you have users who use the insurance. Yeah. With the car example, we will see maybe prosperity models also for the insurance companies. I must put it like this. Yeah. One of the largest insurance blockchain projects, and I highly recommend, if you're in the insurance business, have a look at EtherRisk. It's short for Ethereum, the second largest blockchain, and of course risk. So EtherRisk, Swiss, Austrian, and lots of other coders on board. And what they did, they have, and it's too small to say, but I will flight delay insurance. That's one of the first products. And here you can read demo video. It's already licensed, so it exists. It's nothing, not a proof of concept or something. It exists. You can do that. With airplanes, they have the, let's say, with airplanes, we quite exactly know at all point of the time where they are located. 99.999% of the time, we know where they are. We know exactly when they land. We know whether they are late or not late. So there is no discussion in the sense, no, this may be not so late or too late. So it's very clear when a plane is late. There's a European regulation on now and also a regulation on you get as a passenger refunded when a plane is late. So you also know quite exactly who is sitting in the plane. You know the name, you sometimes know the credit card number and so on. So you could imagine that a small little program, very small, which goes like this. First is plane late, 1 hour. Second line of the program is customer gets fund X for 1 hour, for 6 hours value Y, for another value, and so on. This is a program which is maybe 10 lines, literally 10 lines. Smart contracts are not millions of lines. They are very short usually. And the question now is for insurance. So why do we need an insurance company with thousands of employees who update this when we can have a code managing this within 10 lines and maybe a nice front end? Somebody does this for us. Okay, we will pay a little bit for it. Full stop. And I think this year we see where insurance companies will go. I see this very, they have more projects. They have for design for hurricane protection, insurance. You know quite exactly where insurance is. Of course, when you have not sensor-based data, it gets more tricky. And I think for complicated, like this building, insurance of this building is more complicated, a lot of difficulty properties. This will take time, but it's quite thinkable that we will see that in future. So, I want to show a bit about, I'm also on a panel, by the way, shameless self-advertising myself, at 3:30 on FinTech. That's why I also put some FinTech to show you what's going on in the blockchain sphere. We have always were very critical, we saw very much criticism on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Blockchain is very much to transfer of value, so you can transfer on blockchain value. So the big disadvantage of the internet has been solved by blockchain, so you can transfer over the blockchain a value. That's the great thing, which I saw also. I worked 10 years for the Austrian Austrian Research Fund, the largest fund. We funded projects. We had to decide in 2015 whether we fund blockchain projects or is it all a scam. And it was the Smart City program I managed. It's a large research program. There we decided, yes, it's not a scam, it's really, and that's how I found my love with blockchain. So that's how I really like this new technology. So German stock exchange, Börse Stuttgart launches a Bitcoin spot and an actually quite funny app. Bison app, very simple payments possible. I will say cryptocurrencies will still take a while. Oh, that was too fast. Yeah. I rush through some examples now. Yeah. Riddle and Code is one of the best Austrian companies in terms of coding. They have lots of nerds and coders, but also they come from the art, and what they created is a car wallet. When it comes to car insurance, the question with autonomous car is who will pay the insurance? You as a passenger? I mean, when you usually it's included. So the idea is to let the car pay itself. I work with a large road toll company, and they have to think, how will blockchain affect the business? How will Libra coin affect the business? They're thinking about these, Libra, Facebook Libra coin. And if you have a car wallet, a car earning itself the money, you have a concept where not a company maybe owns the car, but the car owns itself, or it's owned by a trust who doesn't belong to anybody, like Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't belong to anybody. It's a code on the internet, it's distributed, you cannot call Bitcoin. There is no Bitcoin. And with insurance companies, you will see that too. Probably there will be a code like these 10 lines I explained for the flight insurance, where you cannot code the code. It's just there. Somebody coded it, like a computer virus, which has been put in place, and now it's running and annoys us. We could have nice viruses maybe in future, which do good things, which are open source, which deliver service which we like. It's kind of the Linux 2.0. Yeah? Linux is an open source program. Maybe we have such smart contracts open source. And there are thousands of smart contracts already open source available. So Riddle and Code, and of course I'm running a bit late. This is, Bitpanda is one of the largest exchange where you can, in Austria, but it's a European exchange where you can trade cryptocurrencies. Their business, so this is evolving, this is still will take time, and they have some, of course, regulatory issues to overcome. What we see in energy, and I'm an electrical engineer, I come from the energy business, what we see is peer-to-peer trading over blockchain of energy. And one can say, oh yeah, that's not very interesting. In Slovenia, there is a project Sun Contract, which has 10,000 active users, and they trade blockchain. They trade energy between themselves. So one carpenter company with photovoltaic, they sell their energy to others, to end customers, single home house owners. How many time do I have?
No, time is, I
2:30,
think
okay.
we have some, but
Yeah.
we have quite a few questions. So if,
Okay,
unless you have anything very specific,
then let me just try to
if
give you
there's
some.
anything specific to insurance, then share that here. Otherwise, just move to those because I think the audience
This I will do. Good, good. What I will, so let me go back. No, this, how to go back? You go back, okay. Can you go back to the ether risk? So, and then one back, yeah, yes, this one. So there is, yes, there is a question, recent success of Google quantum computing shows that blockchain could get obsolete. What's your opinion? Yes, blockchain will be hacked one day, that's for sure, we know that. And Don Tapscott, the famous author, always say, he said once, blockchain will be hacked and Bitcoin will be hacked and so on, definitely. But it is like if you have a chicken McNugget, he's from the US, if you have it's like if you make it from a chicken McNugget, again a chicken, you know? If you just go it the other way, reverse engineering of chicken McNugget into a chicken back again. It will be possible one day, and I think that hacking blockchain is even more difficult than maybe making a chicken again, or it's in that range of difficulty. It will work one day, but I think it will take some decades. So even with quantum computing, there is already a hashing on quantum also, so you have always a balance of power. So once the hackers are more active, and Google just announced they have had success last week in quantum computing, it will also be that there will be quantum blockchains. We will see that. Blockchain, by the way, is a very, very old-fashioned way of storing data. It's, blocks of data are connected together like knitting a pullover. We will see different blockchains. Definitely not. It's like diskette, you know, diskette or slow computers. We will have a lot of progress here. So we can imagine that there will be answers to that first question. So how is money reserve for paying losses solved in blockchain? How is solvency money reserves for paying losses solved in blockchain insurance? In principle, I can just tell you the principle. The principle is that you have not, blockchain is a decentralized way of storing data. It's a decentralized way of managing risk. So it's like in the old villages where you had people and they share the risk and they put the money somewhere and said, okay, in case there is farmers, put together and they save for machines, when something happens to the machine, they take that money out of there. Blockchain brings back this social direct contact and not so much to the large enterprises which evolved over the last decades, insurance companies, for instance. So the money itself is stored on the blockchain itself, and then it can be repaid. But I admit that we have still to sort out how the optimal model will be? I have no answer there. Blockchain can be compared to the technology of the internet in the late 90s. Very rough, no user experience, really difficult to handle. It's still at the very beginning. But I see very much, and the theory confirms that there will be a lot of applications possible. So, are there experience with security settlements via blockchain? Not really. Security settlements in a which way? Security settlements maybe can somebody explain what it's meant by, because securities is a financial product too. But security settlement, I'm not too much into insurance to understand security settlements, what it means. Okay.
Actually, I think that...
Data ownership. Data ownership. In terms of data ownership, what with blockchain will be that you get your data back. The idea is that you get your data back, and as we heard, Moto also has this, you can decide whether you want to make a health check or not and then get a reduced rate. Now with Google, for instance, we get advertisements. When we Google Chrome, we get ads. We Google for a bike, and then the next day we get ads for new bikes, maybe. Yeah, probably you have experienced that. With the Brave browser, which looks like Chrome, but it's a blockchain-based browser, you can also get maybe bicycle advertisement, but you get also Brave tokens. They pay you for watching that advertisement, or you can say, no, I don't want that, so you don't get anything. So you as a customer get paid for watching the ad. Very interesting. And that's the shared prosperity model. You have the pain of watching these ads, which are annoying most of the time because we don't want that. And now you get paid for it. Okay, you still can decide, no, I don't want that, but I get paid. And that's kind of shared prosperity. I also get a share of what's, not only Google does that, and that's enabled by blockchain. Can you share some examples of use cases in blockchain in the health? Yeah, in the health sector. Yes, I worked for a health bank in Switzerland. It's a health data company, and there are also companies who store DNS data on blockchain. You can use blockchain as a database, a very safe database. No coin, no cryptocurrency, it's just a database. Very simple. You can use blockchain as a currency. You issue currency like Bitcoin or others. You can use also combine that too. The health data often uses the property of a blockchain as an encrypted database to store it in a secure way. By the way, I'm very big friend of data security. Yeah, I don't want to have my health data out there because maybe my employer one day gets that and they should not know that I have certain sicknesses. Just imagine somebody has HIV. Do you want for these people, these poor, anyway suffering people, have this data out? Yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's fine when I do sports or nothing. But if it's a serious sickness or where there's even a very strong social pressure on that group, it's very difficult. Blockchain has an answer. So you can opt whether you give your data. That's the very big concept in data protection. That's also the last question. And anyway, I was much too long. Right. I know this. Thank you very much for your patience. Well. Any more questions? Yeah, it's up to you.
I think basically we'll have the audience catch you during lunch. Yes. And thanks as well for making it and for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.